This is the second part in a three-part series about consumer finance protection that I'm putting together. I'm Jessica Lanning. I'm a certified financial planner. I run an independent financial planning firm in San Francisco, and I have been talking to people about their money for decades, and I have seen a variety of regulatory environments. And so I just want to talk about what I see now. So let's start with the CFPB. So the Consumer Finance Protection Board was a creation of Congress, and they put it together very soon after the Great Recession of 2007 to 2009. And it was intended to be in place to regulate financial transactions and provide more information to the consumer so that they were more clear about what they were engaging in and providing some more protections for them so that they were less likely to be victims of fraud. This new administration that has come into Washington does not see the Consumer Finance Protection Board as something that they want to continue to support. So they have essentially gutted it. What I want you to understand is that they are seemingly intent on either getting rid of it or giving it so little support in terms of employees and money and regulatory authority that it has essentially become void, right? It's not going to be able to do the work that it was intended to do. They've removed the director. They've shut down operations. Maybe they're supposed to bring back employees, maybe not. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, that particular organization is now no longer functioning the way that it was intended by Congress. It's a little sad and spooky. There used to be a rule capping overdraft fees at $5. That's not going to probably stay in place anymore. There was oversight over digital platforms like Google Pay, Venmo, Apple Pay, Cash App, all these ones that you've gotten now very used to using. Those particular transaction platforms are now going to be less regulated. For instance, there was also a move to stop having people's medical bills that were unpaid or behind schedule or whatever the negative mark might have been to be removed from credit reports. And this was a huge issue back when I was doing mortgages, and people would have very difficult time getting mortgages because they would literally have a $147 bill that they didn't pay 10 years ago because they didn't know about it. And that particular bill was haunting them when they were trying to buy a house 10 years later. That is now probably going to disappear, and those marks will now start showing back up on credit reports. And this is a problem because it's not just a regulatory change, it's like a shift in priorities. And we're not going to protect the consumer anymore. We're going to let them fend for themselves, and we'll let the chips fall where they will. And we're seeing this over at the Department of Justice too. They are no longer now going to prosecute cryptocurrency companies that have unintended regulatory violations. That's kind of classic. What exactly is unintended? And mistakes happen, and it's exactly because we have these regulatory bodies, or did, that it really kept these institutions on their toes. It made them think twice about being sloppy or starting to move towards the edges of their regulatory environment. It really kept things in check, and that kind of stuff is now going to go away. And you're going to see this over and over again, I think, with this particular administration. And here's what you have to understand is that I completely get that less regulation does make commerce easier. It does. I will tell you that in the first Trump administration, there was a pause on what's called the DOL rule, right? This Department of Labor organization rule that said, if you're going to, as a financial planner, give advice about somebody on their ERISA plan accounts, in other words, their 401ks or 457s or 403bs, if you were going to give advice on that, you had to have them go through this big form and fill out their fees and do a comparison, pros and cons, and all this kind of stuff. And so that was paused during that administration, which was a huge load off of my shoulders. That rule's now back, and maybe it goes away again. But look, I would much rather that rule be in place and have it eliminate bad actors in my business, because then it raises the level of reputation and respect in my business. It's probably now going to start to fade a little bit. My industry already has trust problems with consumers. We don't need any more help making that worse. Having regulations in place actually really helped us make it better. This is what I'm concerned about, is that now we are going to have an environment that has less regulation, creates less trust among consumers, and now they're actually not going to get the help that they need or the protection that they need to just transact business in their day-to-day lives. So in the next segment, I'm going to just talk a little bit about what this means for you, what you might do about it just in transacting business day to day. And if you have any questions, you're certainly welcome to reach out. I'm Jessica Lanning. Lanning Does Planning.